right, governor. I'm Professor Plum, and welcome to the Professor Plum YouTube channel. Because that's how all Americans think the British people sound.
The garage. The garage. The garage.
The garage.
Can you go park my car in the garage?
I love squash and Quidditch.
Oh,
and
Quidditch?
That's about it.
Oh yeah, I love
Mate.
Quidditch, mate.
So that was my impression of an American doing an impression of me, maybe? Anyway, today we're going to be looking at American plumbing. So I always find that every time I upload a video, when I wake up in the morning, I'll get a couple of comments from my American counterparts. So today we're going to be looking at some American plumbing. What are the differences? Now, I tend to find that when I'm on social media, whether that's on TikTok, Instagram or YouTube, I see loads and loads of plumbing videos and stuff, but they're always American. It's strange because I don't really get anything Australian. And the reason I say that is because, well, they speak English, so I would think there'd be a couple of creators maybe. But there's always a massive difference. So when we look at the plumbing, to me, it kind of looks a little bit, I don't know, Victorian. I think their plumbing kind of looks a bit Victorian compared to ours. But then, is ours better? Is theirs better? Let's find out. So, first off, got my headphones. We're going to be watching and reacting to some American content. Now, most of the videos, or probably all of the videos to be fair, are going to be from a guy called Roger Wakefield. Now, to be fair, when I started up my plumbing business, way back in the day, one of the things I Googled was how to set up a plumbing business. And his video was the first video that I ever saw, which was the first video that led me to think, plumbers make videos. So we're going to watch Roger and his glorious moustache. And we're going to go through, in the first part of the video, just the difference between American and plumbing tools. So let's have a little look.
Great plumbing tools that provide solutions. I contacted Milwaukee and actually talked to them and said, look, what tools do y'all think provide the best solutions for professional plumbers, mechanical contractors out in the field?
Right. So the first video we're looking at is it's just a load of Milwaukee tools. And now there's a massive difference between what we have over here in the UK and what the Americans have, in as far as we don't need certain tools. So he's just showing off a big pipe breaker. I'd call them a pair of Stilsons. I know Stilsons is a brand. I don't know what the appropriate name is, because a pipe wrench could be loads of different tools. But we're looking at what I would call a big pair of Stilsons. Massive, huge. We just wouldn't need them in the UK unless you're doing commercial work. But in domestic, a pair of Stilsons very rarely ever gets used. So over here in the UK, we tend not to have much LCS or low carbon steel in residential properties. You do get it. I have taken it out when I was younger, but only to be replaced with copper. There are still some water mains, there are still some gas mains and stuff that are in threaded steel pipework. So most of ours, underground we have blue MDPE, which is plastic pipe. And then inside the properties, we either have white plastic pipes running throughout everywhere, most of the modern properties. And then in older properties, you tend to find that it's all copper. So let's have a little look. We're going to skip through just to see what other tools come up. So let's have a look at the first power tool.
Oh God, this is sweet. Oh, this is so much smaller than the other one I have.
I would presume that's a pipe threader. So back in when I was at college, so 2009, we were still threading raw steel pipework, threading it and using horsehair and hemp and paste to actually do up threaded fittings. But that was something that I don't think they do anymore in the colleges. Learning how to actually you know, grind on, or I actually don't know the word. What is this tool called? Let's see if we can find out. I don't actually know what it's called. So basically, yeah, it's never ever going to get used in Britain unless it's commercial. But even commercial, I've got no idea about commercial stuff, so I don't know whether they are or are not still using low carbon steel. So let's have a look, see what he brings up next.
A high-speed chain snake, again, 1 to 4 inch pipe. But guys,
A great big drain snake. So sort of drain snakes and stuff when it comes to the UK, it has to be quite small. I'm not sure if American pipes, as far as waste pipes, tend to be steel and stuff as well. I think they do from the videos that I've seen. See, all of our waste pipes are all plastic. You do get some, like actually if you went out to the back of my property, this is an old council place, it would be cast iron. It's cast iron soil stack. But majority of places in the UK it's either going to be plastic, and then underground it's sometimes either clay or it can be steel. Only on downpipes I think it's steel. I don't think underground we ever put in steel. I think it was underground we either put in the original clay come on, Sam, what's the word? Pottery. It's fucking pottery, isn't it? Clay, I'm gonna call them clay pipes, or plastic. So yeah, when we're putting drain snakes and stuff down, we do have to be a little bit careful about being a bit too rough with it, I suppose, just for the fact that we have a lot of push fit fittings that can easily come apart because it's not threaded and locked in together like it is with steel. Then obviously things can end up popping off. So I know that there is a tool from Milwaukee. I don't know if he's going to show it in this, but it was like an air blaster that you put down the toilet and it pumps up and you pop it and blows a load of air down there. Now they can't sell it in the UK, and the reason they can't sell it in the UK is because we don't seal our toilets to the floor with a wax ring. Now we'll get onto that a little bit later, but basically ours are a rubber collar that just pushes over. It's not clamped on, it's just pushed over, and if you was to blast down that much air, it'd pop off the back and you'd end up with poo everywhere. So yeah, our system's very, very different. So the next thing that he's looking at is press fit. So press fit, obviously that's press fit for the copper pipe work and stuff. It is massive now in the UK. It's something that it's been going on for, I would say, about 10 years probably, but only recently in the last sort of 5-6 years has it been a bit more prevalent to me, where I've actually seen a lot more of it being used, even though when I go out to my typical jobs, I very, very, very rarely see any press fit fittings. I don't see many at all. So it is a new thing to the UK, really. And I think by the sounds of the way he's talking, is basically that, yeah, it's becoming it's just starting to kick off in America as well. So yeah, press fit, we got that over here. Inspection cameras, yeah, brilliant. Let's just see if there's anything that's a bit more American. Okay, so there is another like pipe threader. What's it called? It's called a side grip thread starter. So again, steel pipe work. We just aren't ever really going to use that on site. So let's see if there's anything else. That looks like more press. So yeah, as far as tools, there's a couple of things that we don't have here over here in the UK, and some things like the Milwaukee, the big pipe wrench, pair of Stilsons. Yeah, I've seen them for sale. There was someone that I know that that owns a shop, and he was selling them, and he was only really selling them to commercial plumbers. A lot of regular plumbers just don't really have a use for them. So we're going to have a little look at the pipes. Let's just have a look at the video. Let's find one. Right. Wax versus rubber. So this is something that like the English audience, the British audience isn't really going to see. And that is wax rings. There are none in the UK. We don't use them. It's not the way that we do things. And so to the UK audience, what it is, essentially, it's the seal that goes around the toilet outlet. Now, it looks like on American toilets, all of the outlets straight down, vertical. Whilst ours, usually horizontal, they come straight out the back of the toilet. Now, American toilets work with siphonage. So, as you're releasing water, it starts to create siphonage and it pulls out the waste. Pulls it out because it's going straight down. You put some water in there, then it siphons it out and pulls everything out. Whereas we push. So as we're releasing the water in, it's replacing the water and pushing away the waste. And that's the difference. So they have the wax rings that create a seal because the toilets are straight into the ground. Now we do have some toilets that where the outlet comes straight up. But there's not many, you don't see many. I think it was maybe an older style of toilet used to use that sort of system. And what we would do is concrete round or pour lead round to create a seal. So yeah, they use wax rings. They obviously go because I see a lot of plumbers replacing them. I don't know whether that's just because they're replacing the whole toilet. I don't know how long they last. Whereas in the UK, like I say, rubber collar, straight on the back. I'm just looking at the different brands that they've got underneath. So let me just get this full screen this. Okay, so the only brand that I can see on the whole table of all of the toilet spares and repairs and bits is Fluid Master. So most people have heard of Fluid Master. It's the only company really that we share as far as spares and stuff because obviously our systems are so different. But Fluid Master is actually made in the UK. It's made in Wales. That's where their big factory is. I've been up there, I've visited them. I've done a tour of their factory. And because they are one of the biggest selling toilet valves in America, they don't really have to worry too much about any rivals in the UK. They don't have to worry about Thomas Dudley and Viva and whoever else that we use over here in the UK because they've got such a massive share of the market over in America, and that is where they said 90% of all their toilet valves go out to America. But we still fit them in the UK. They're fill valves, they're flush valves. Flapper valves is something that is more popular in the US. So a flapper paddle that lifts up in the bottom of a toilet system that releases the water on a... You can get them from B&Q, like our really cheap toilets have them from B&Q. But in general, we don't have those. We either have a siphon that siphons the water out of the system or a push button where it just lifts up a paddle, but it works off of the button. So yeah, theirs, it's like chain handle, a handle with a chain that just lifts up a flapper. And we just don't have those in the UK. But Fluid Master make those. They produce them here in the UK and then they go over to America. I don't know whether they got factories in America, I presume they have. And one thing I did ask about is on the fill valve. So you look at a standard fill valve, this is the most popular fill valve in America. There is this little nipple up here, right at the top. And what that is to refill the bowl of the toilet, because obviously everything's siphoned out. So the bowl is empty. So to refill and put a water level in there so that there's no bad smells coming out, that is like called a trickle feed. Now in the UK, in the factory, it's just sealed off. And so we've got that piece sticking out, but it's sealed off because it just doesn't get used. It doesn't, so essentially what it's doing is, when it is in use, there's a hose that goes down into the overflow and obviously it pours into the pan and refills the pan. As it's refilling the system at the same time. So yeah, certainly different systems. So let's have a little look, see. I don't know if I just kind of want to see just a job or Also toilets over there. I know like the American toilets when you see them in movies and stuff, because that's where we get most of our sort of knowledge about anything about America is through movies and TV shows, is like public toilets. It seems like they have like a little chrome lever that they press and that flushes everything. I don't know what they're called, but we don't have those in the UK. In the UK, it's the same as you'd have in a domestic property where you pull a chain. Tank or tankless. Now, I don't know about America as far as, do you guys have natural gas? Are you on natural gas? Do you have that? Or do you buy it by the bottle? Do you have, you know, we pay our utility bills, gas and electric. Do you guys have gas in the same way that we do? Natural gas that for cooking and for boilers. Now, that's something that I don't really see is boilers. They seem like they have more tanks. So we're actually going to look at the video now. It says tank versus tankless water heater. So I presume a tankless water heater, what Americans are calling that, is what we would call essentially like a combi boiler. Okay, so one glaringly obvious thing. So I just started watching this video, just getting into it a little bit. About tankless versus tankless water heaters. Sorry, I didn't think I'd do your accent at any point. I'm sorry for that. Look, you take the piss out of our accent. Right, so don't do the accent, Sam. Right, the one glaring thing that always sticks out to me when I'm watching American videos is the word faucet. Okay, I had to do it with the accent because we don't say it in the UK. In the UK, it's a tap. You turn on the tap and you've got water. You turn on the bath tap, the basin tap, the kitchen tap, the outside tap, it's a tap. So I don't know if you guys use tap. If you do, let me know. But do you use it to refer to something completely different? Do you use that to refer to a shut-off valve, maybe? But yeah, we don't use the word faucet. Facet. Okay, so just looking at this video now, this is only 5 years ago in the way that he's talking about essentially a combi boiler. You know, explaining it in layman's terms, you know, you slow down the water, you can heat it as it's flowing through, so instantaneous water, but it's not. What he's saying is it's not instantaneous because it doesn't come out instantly hot. You still have to run it through the pipes, which makes logical sense, I suppose. But yeah, let me just see if I can see any photos on here. I think it's just him talking in this one. So let me have a little look. If I just type in water heater, I don't know whether or not we're just going to get UK plumbers. I'm just going to get UK stuff, even though I want to find American stuff. Okay, Roger's coming up all the time for me because I think it's because I'm subscribed to him. But it looks like I'm getting a lot more UK stuff. So, twin home experts. I presume these are going to be some Americans. Let's have a look. Oh, adverts. I should really pay for YouTube Premium, shouldn't I? Should I do it? Okay, so they've got some boilers on the wall. Now it looks like well, for one, the first thing I'm noticing is that they've got twin flues. So it looks as though they've probably got an inlet and an outlet on the flues, rather than our flues have basically a central air inlet through the middle, so that when you're actually drilling through the wall, you're only drilling one hole. And that will draw in air as well as expel air out from the outside. Now, so first thing I noticed that it has those two, and then the second thing I'm seeing again more threaded steel pipework on the gas. Then they've got some sort of yellow flexible hose going up to, I presume that is the gas. My only thing is, I'm wondering whether or not Americans have like a gas supply to their home, or whether or not they have. That is some awful pipe work as well, by the way. I'm just skipping through this and I'm looking, it looks pretty awful. I presume that's just a training centre, because I can't see that anyone would pipe it up that bad. The other thing is the weird mix of steel pipe works. They got steel pipe going in. It looks like, I don't know, maybe a flow on a heating system. Not quite sure. And then they've got copper on the rest of it. So it looks like copper on the cold in and then the hot coming back out of the combination boiler. But I'm not really sure what's going on there. This is the other thing as well, is obviously UK is a pretty small island, right? We're in a pretty small island. So to get from one end to the other, it takes about 6 hours, right? I think, roughly, about 6 hours. So obviously America is massive and they got loads of different climates. So there are obviously different regulations and stuff, and they obviously have completely different systems. Why would you need radiators if you live in a really hot climate, like I presume Texas is pretty hot all year round? I presume, I'm just going to presume that. But we have radiators in our houses because obviously we go through the seasons. When it gets to winter, it's freezing. Sometimes you get a lovely, gorgeous summer and it's boiling hot, and we don't have air conditioning. So there we go. There's another big difference is we have to heat our homes. We don't worry too much about cooling homes. There are a few people in the UK that have got money, basically, that have air conditioning installed, as air conditioning is just not really a big thing here, apart from in offices, in commercial spaces, hospitals, offices, sort of places like that. Whereas in a domestic home, we tend to just open windows, I guess, and sweat it out. But in the winter months, turn the heating on, and we tend to have radiators on the wall. Just a typical average standard home, without going into like thermostat, underfloor heating, everything else. We tend to just have radiators. So there we go. There's something that when I have spoke to Americans, it seems like they have hot air that just blows through the house. If that makes sense. So they have some sort of heating boiler system in their basement, and then it blows hot air everywhere. And from what I understand is, if you're just blowing hot air around, you're not really controlling the temperature of it too much. So it tends to be that you have a grate in the floor, you shut the grate slightly or open it more to get more or less flow through. And then if you want to cool the room down, you open a window. Whereas in the UK, you turn the thermostat down on your radiator, cool that radiator down, and then you can have each room set at a different temperature. Whereas in America, with heating, it seems to be, it's just hot air. So yeah, it seems to be, I don't know who I was speaking to when I was speaking to someone about their heating system and whether or not they had radiators. I can't remember where they lived, but yeah. So some massive differences. I don't think there's a massive crossover, but then at the same time, it's pipes, it's water. You know what I mean? It's pretty different. It's just a different way of doing things. Right, so is the UK or the US better? Or who's the better plumbers? To be fair, I don't think that's fair enough to say, but I will say the one thing that I really like about the American culture, American within the plumbing industry, is you have to be a licensed plumber, and people expect to see your license. It sounds like what we have here in the UK with the gas register, where you cannot work on gas appliance unless you are a member of GasSafe. The only difference, well, the biggest thing and the biggest difference is anyone can call themselves a plumber in the UK. If you can fix a tap, you can. There's no reason that you can't call yourself a plumber and advertise that you are a plumber. We don't have licenses. Our qualifications don't mean a massive amount. I know some fantastic plumbers who've got no formal training whatsoever, and yet they're amazing bathroom fitters and amazing pipe fitters and stuff. But over in the US, you're not working, and if you do, I believe you get big fines and stuff. So we're just going to have a quick look up and see what the law is around being a licensed plumber. Okay, so I literally just typed in licensed plumber in the US. So in the US, licensed plumbers are regulated by state or local authorities and hold licenses that allow them to legally perform plumbing work. These licenses typically require completing training, passing exams, meeting certain experience requirements. There are generally 3 levels of plumbing licenses: apprentice, journeyman and master. So I really like that system. Over here in the UK, it's, are you an apprentice or are you a plumber? And a lot of people don't even be apprentices to start with. They're just, oh, I'm a plumber now, I suppose. So let's just have a look. Working. Let's just see what sort of thing it says. A plumber without a license is breaking the law, and in most states can face significant legal consequences. These consequences can include fines, potential jail time, damage to their professional reputation. Unlicensed plumbers cannot obtain permits, which can lead to code violations and significant expenses for the homeowner. An unlicensed plumber can be charged with misdemeanors, which can lead to fines potentially up to $5,000 and even jail time of up to 6 months. Wow. So, what happens if you work on gas and you haven't got a license? So let's have a look and see what happens in the UK. But this is gas. This is not plumbing. So plumbing, you can work on someone's tap. You can fit a bath. You can fit well, you do have to have a qualification to fit an unvented cylinder in the UK, although no one abides by that law. And also you can fit it yourself without a license, without a qualification, and then get it signed off by building regulations. So it's, or building control. So it's a weird sort of grey area in the UK with pretty much the rule is you can do whatever you want as a plumber, but not as a gas engineer. So let's look up what happens in the UK if you work without being on the gas register. Okay, so I just typed in what happens if you work on boilers without being on the gas safe register. So here we go. Just the overview is, working on gas boilers without being on the gas safe register is illegal and can lead to severe consequences. Obviously, it's gas, it can blow up. It's not like water where you just get wet.
But you want the vacuum? Call the police or something. You want the vacuum accident?
It also puts homeowners at risk of unsafe gas installations, blah, 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 carbon monoxide poisoning, all the rest of it. So, legal consequences. Unregistered gas engineers can face prosecution, fines, potentially up to £15,000, and community service. In some cases, they may even be imprisoned. So I believe imprisonment in the UK for gas engineers, it does happen, but it tends to be if someone has been severely hurt, property's been damaged, someone's died. So it does happen when a house blows up.
A man is in a life-threatening condition in hospital after a suspected gas explosion destroyed a house and damaged 3 others in Birmingham. Neighbours clambered past flaming debris and through dust and rubble to pull an injured man from the ruins of the home in the King's Standing area. Simon Jones reports.
Shock and confusion in the aftermath of a huge explosion. A fierce fire takes hold on the residential street. A man was dragged from this burning building by neighbours and taken to hospital.
So yeah, never ever work on gas if you're not gas registered. But plumbing, do what you like. Do what you like. Come over to the UK, have a go. Why not? Fit an outside tap. No one's going to tell you off. So my opinion of that is, I believe that we should be controlled better as far as what people do, because we have a saying in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in the US, you've probably got an equivalent, but we call people rogue traders. So people that work that don't know what they're doing, we call them rogue traders, bandits, you know what I mean, rogue traders, right? And there are a lot of rogue traders out there. There are a lot of people that are going out there, they don't know what they're doing bad jobs, doing bad installs, and it obviously brings the whole industry down, because it's the reputation of plumbers in general goes down when these people are out there doing work. So I'd like to see something get changed on that, but I don't think it ever will happen in the UK. So that is probably the biggest thing that I respect about the US plumbing. We'll never say faucet. That's just never going to happen. You're wrong on that. It's a tap. Yeah, overall, I think your plumbing is where our plumbing was maybe in the... It's a weird, because some things I think you are a bit more advanced on. But overall, your use of steel pipe works, it's just the steel. The steel throws me off. It always makes me think, well, we haven't been using that since maybe the 1970s, maybe earlier. So 60s, 70s. We don't use steel. We just don't use it at all. We've changed over to plastics and copper, which is a lot easier to install. Then again, with your drainage systems, I think the American drainage systems is better, and I haven't really gone into crazy detail on that one, but they tend to vent every individual thing. A bath is vented, a basin is vented in the wall, up, out through the loft or through the roof or whatever, whereas we just have a single stack. We're not going to go into too much detail there, but in general, I think the Americans are better with drainage. They can get away with using better tools and stuff on drainage because it can kind of keep up with it. We have too many silly things in our plumbing that are too sort of DIY, because we let homeowners and we let DIYers and we let handymen work on plumbing. We've come up with so many other stupid designs for our plumbing systems that are just too easy, and they're push fit and they don't lock. You know, the idea of threading something on, tightening it up, making a seal and making it solid, is that better than a push fit plastic pipe where you just push it into a fitting, done? Yeah, it probably is. But as a professional plumber, working, outgoing and doing plumbing like I do, and what you can see on my channel, you know, I use copper pipes, I do use some compression fittings, there are a few threaded bits and bobs. I tend to avoid plastics. I completely avoid any push fit when it comes to waste pipes, so I tend to go for glued fittings, solvent weld fittings. But yeah, so the Americans win. Look, I found that a fun one to film, as in I was learning as I was going along, but fuck me, it took me forever to edit that. And I guarantee you that this video is not going to get many views. So hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe if you want, and don't worry, the next few videos will be the usual stuff. Me working. There you go. Peace out. I love you all. Bye bye.